There you go, Priya.
Thank you, Diana. So I'm just going to share my screen in just a second. Okay. I hope y'all can see my screen now.
Yes.
Awesome. So once again, welcome everybody to session three. And today we have like an amazing group of mentors joining me. And any questions that you have, please feel free to post in the chat and we will take up your questions as well. Okay, so for session three, we have AI powered automation through specialized AI. So I know like you've been a part of this AI series 2025. Today we dive into what specialized AI is and what UiPath has to offer in terms of specialized AI. So today's speakers, myself and Russell, we are going to be just walking you through what a UiPath platform has to offer. And feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn as well. I think like Revati has already posted the links out there. So here's the agenda for today. We'll go through like what's generative AI versus specialized AI so that you can feel the difference. And in terms of the UiPath platform itself, what are the different components that UiPath has to offer? And we will talk a little bit more about the AI Center overview and the different deployment options that are available. And also, now that you know what the products are, you need to know where to apply it. So that's where the use cases come into place. So where you can identify how the AI center use cases are being used. Okay, so first off, let's go around. I'm just gonna minimize this. Hope you can see this better. Okay. So, first off, let's talk about what's generative AI versus specialized AI. I'm sure you all have heard about Gen AI like pretty frequently because now that with ChatGPT's explosion and there are other LLMs that have exposed a lot of capabilities. So, I'm pretty sure you've got your hands on Gen AI before. So, Gen AI, as you all know, like it's basically helps you to help create new content using like any kind of images or text or like based on patterns that you already have. So this is basically generating images for you and producing content based on the existing data that's already available. And but when it comes to specialized AI is basically you are giving it a specific task, and you expect it to perform those specific tasks in that defined domains and giving you that high accurate results based on what you expect. So this basically will be used in like enterprise organizations where like each organization has their own business process and the business models that they work with. So which is where the specialized AI could come in and help you build those automations and make your automations more enhanced with the applications of AI. And when it comes to Gen AI basically leverages the LLMs that are available, the large language models, which has been trained on a large number of data, amount of text, and like, every article that's been published out there. So that's how the Gen AI performs based on the existing data. An example of an LLM would be like ChatGPTs that you've been using. It helps you like, answer questions, build content, like, build reports based on what you have asked. When it comes to specialized AI, an example would be like invoice extraction. Each and every company has like a procurement process or like purchase orders or invoices that you're using. So those are typically like specialized AI applications that you could use where you can build like a specific customized ML model that specializes in like invoice extractions or extracting from any kind of documents like accord forms or like purchase orders. All of that could be performed using this specific ML model that are available within the UiPath platform. Okay, for some reason, my computer decided to freeze for a second, so here we are. Okay. So within the world of UiPath's ecosystem, basically we have the AI-powered automations within the UiPath in terms of different layers. So first layer becomes the products, but in order to use the products, you need to give it a specific context for it to work. So just like with Gen AI, like you would define like what your specific requirements are, what you're expecting it to produce, the same way like you would give the context is the one that offers the data or like the definition of the environment in terms of document or email or communication or any type of data. All that becomes context, and then you feed that into the products. So within UiPath you have like various different products, the ML models, the AI center, the DU, all of those products that are available within the UiPath platform perform the task, and they use the infrastructure that's underlying the UiPath area, where you have the AI trust layer that defines like what are the contexts, like what is the different rules that we need to set in terms of like business rules or like who gets access. So all of that is like defined, and then you want to have the human in the loop to perform those actions or to validate the data or to even give the feedback to your model itself. So that's where the action comes into place. And again, like as you can see, like the UiPath platform has been pretty open and it's very flexible in terms of use case as well. And before we dive deep into the products, here's some basic knowledge that we need to have in terms of like machine learning or natural language processing. So, as you all know, like machine learning is basically like mapping like input into output using the functions and identifying like what specific task that we are trying to accomplish here. So, AI has like different subfields, and one of the subfield of AI is machine learning. And another subfield that we have is the natural language processing. That's what we call as NLP. Okay, so within machine learning, when you specify your input, output, and then you define what the function is, there are several tasks that we could accomplish. Okay, under machine learning, we could have like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and deep learning. So, in when it comes to supervised learning, you're basically like defining like the input and the output, and it has like an exact mapping in a way that like each input has an output. So there's always a defined expectation of like outcome. So there's always like definitive results when it comes to supervised learning. So an example of supervised learning would be like, classification or regression. So if you have like, like any kind of like, let's say it needs to be a yes or no answer, those are like very definitive answers. So in terms of that, like you can always like say like, okay, I can use supervised learning. And when it comes to unsupervised learning, you can always think of it as a way of association. So you have like a large set of data, and you want to understand like how the data, the underlying structure of the data moves. So when it comes to like, how you are mapping each of this data, what bucket it falls into, and you're basically identifying like what how the data performs with each other and trying to understand the mechanism that how they are being grouped. So that's when you will use like unsupervised learning. So an example for between supervised and unsupervised would be like when you have like any kind of like classification, let's say like you want to say red, blue, and green. Those are like definitive results. When you know like what kind of predictions that you're gonna do, if you understand what the prediction model is and then you want to use it, then I would advise like to use this supervised model. But if you have a huge set of data and you want to understand what's the hidden relationship between this data, and you want to understand how these perform well together, and you want to know like what's the metadata underneath that, then you would want to use the unsupervised learning. And in terms of NLP, basically we use like every single data is like broken down into tokenization, and we use like any kind of like sentiment analysis. As we all know, like if you are processing like using communications mining, or if you're basically processing any of your emails and trying to understand like what the message means, then you would like apply sentiment analysis as well. So today we'll look at like some of the products. So here we have like the entire set of the UiPath products available here. So, like I mentioned, like in one of the previous slides, you were able to see like products, right? But here in the solutions, you can see what are the different products that we have. So when it comes to AI, we basically use like document understanding, AI center, communications mining, and all these like come under the AI where we specifically use. And with Gen AI, UiPath has partnered with like several integrations that are available. So recently they also announced like a heavy partnership with OpenAI, so which enables like seamless integration. So you can connect to any of the other AI models that are out there and use generative AI to your benefit. And when it comes to specialized AI, we are going to be using heavily document understanding and AI center in this case. Okay. So here are the main four components that we are going to be looking at for today. In terms of document understanding, as the name specifies, like I said, every organization has a lot of documents that are being processed, which is where like document understanding would come into place. Where if you have like a heavily document involved processes, you would use document understanding to basically like have a digital copy of those documents and use like extractions and classification models that are available and extract any specific information that you want out of the documents. So let's say you have an invoice, you want the invoice date, how much was paid from which vendor, and which date it was paid or how it was delayed. All this data and the fields can be defined, and based on what's needed in your downstream process, you can define those fields within the document understanding and easily extract. And with document understanding, there are already like predefined models that are pre-trained, which means like you don't have to define every single field by your hand, which you already have like preset fields, and you can add your custom fields to it as well. So which is where like document understanding is a heavily used product. And when it comes to AI center, think of it as your control center for your AI models. This is where you would basically like deploy your models and train them and manage them. So if you have like a new model that you've retrained and you want to republish and test out your models, AI center would be the place to go. Okay. And communications mining, it's a very powerful tool to you know encode like all the messages, or really understand what goes on in your messages from the context of your customer processes itself, in order to achieve the best outcomes from the communications that are going on. And now communications mining is a part of IXP. IXP is one of UiPath's newest products when it comes to intelligent extraction processing. This was released like last year, late last year. And this product basically combines communication mining and uses like the intelligent document understanding. So basically, you would use IXP when there are like, highly unstructured data that you want to extract from, and you want to understand the data that comes through your communications, then you would go for IXP. Okay. And an example that we would take for today would be the loan application process. A simple loan application process, which we all know, like, it's a pretty straightforward process that most banks like would use like a similar way. So here's a simple example would be the message comes in through an email, and you need to identify like what's the context of the email. And that's where you identify the intent using the communications mining. And in that email, there could be attached documents. So you need to understand what's in that document, and then you use it with the DU. So the DU basically means document understanding. So you would extract the attached document and send it through DU and use Gen AI to extract all the information that's available within the document. And then you would process the application form, so which is where the specialized AI with the DU comes in, and you would get all the pre-labeled text fields that are available, and you would verify any additional information that's available using their ID cards, or like any kind of government ID proofs that they've specified. Then you would pass it again to another DU model that specializes for ID cards. So within document understanding, you have different models for each separate document. So you can pick which one fits your process. In this case, we are going with the ID cards. And then we are going to verify the employment letter that comes in the attachment. So in one single communication, you've seen like all of the documents that have come, and you're going to use like different, few AI models that are available for each specific type of document, and then extract those information, and then you can save that for the downstream process to apply it to any kind of like systems that you might have. And a quick dive into the AI Center on how it's being used. Okay. So basically, AI Center with UiPath helps you to use the AI models that are available and enhance it with your workflow. So you've all used like RPA as in like your studio itself. So if you've built workflows, you need to know like how to incorporate AI into it. So the first step that we do is choose an AI model. So any AI model that are currently available within the AI Center can be used. Right now, we have a large number of document understanding models that are available. So you will choose one of the pre-built models that's available, and then you would put it into the AI Center. The AI Center is where you're going to consume that model, use that ML package, and use that as a skill. So, and then once you consume that model, you need to manage it, meaning that every time you give the feedback loop and then the model gets like more data into it, then it becomes a newer version of that model. So you can consume and deploy that model and it becomes a skill to be applied. Okay. And now this skill becomes available for your studio to be accessible. So, which is where the drag and drop activities come into play in your studio. You can basically drag one of the ML skills that you've just deployed and into your workflow and use it in your RPA workflows. So basically what we just talked about, you're going to choose the model. This is like an architectural diagram of like how this plays into. So you're going to choose the model and deploy it on the AI Center. And from there, which is where you're consuming and managing that, and you're basically going to drag and drop into your studio. Okay. And if you do have any kind of exceptions, because you're going to be providing feedback, which is where we want to have the human in the loop, and we would use like Action Center to validate those actions and provide the feedback back to the AI model. Okay. I'm going to pass over to Russell to talk about the AI core concepts.
Sure. Thank you, Priya. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So for this part of the demo or for the session, let me walk you over through a deep dive on AI Center. What are the components that we have and how you can leverage them. Let me just quickly share my screen right here. And I see some of the questions pouring in the chat. One of the last question that I see, and I'd like to answer this right now is specialized AI also LLM based? I think that's what I saw before I shared my screen. But can you see my screen right now? Hold on. Hold on. I think I shared the wrong screen. Uh, Screen 2.
I can't see it yet.
Yep.
Here, now we go. There you go.
Yeah. So, thanks, Yana. So, specialized AI does not necessarily use generative AI because generative AI, core of it, are foundational models or are meant for a multitude of tasks, while specialized are specially trained for a specific task. So think of the traditional machine learning models that are trained for, let's say, sentiment analysis, text classification, object detection. These are not large language models, right? So these are specialized machine learning models for, let's say, logistic regression or linear regression models that are especially trained with data, appropriate data to particularly for the specific task it will be handling, right? Um, so before I touch on the next part, which is this one, what are the components of the AI Center that lets you deploy, as she has shown, deploy and train specialized machine learning models. Again, not LLM, right? Probably to make it much more, let's say, clear, what's the difference between the um, RPA, and then intelligent automation, and then eventually agentic automation, which is not covered here, right? Think of this particular use case that you have here, credit dispute intake, where you have an email for credit dispute from a customer, and then you manually assign and prioritize the case, understand and investigate the dispute, and then update Salesforce and credit report, decide on the resolution, notify the customer, and then adjudicate, right? So with RPA only, you can only automate so much, right? Only those rule-based type of task where you update Salesforce and credit report, as well as notify the consumer, right? Because these are something that you can create a predefined workflow that always can either be scenario 1 or scenario 2. If this happens, do this. If this happens, do that, right? So rule-based. But um, now, with the advent of specialized AI or intelligent automation, where you have document understanding as well as other forms of specialized AI like sentiment analysis, now you can be able to handle and give specialized skills to your robots to do the dispute intake as well, right? So the robot can now go into the email, download the attachment, use document understanding to understand the content of the document, or the credit information, assign and prioritize a case. So it will also need to do the prioritization. It needs to understand the sentiment or the urgency, right? So you have specialized models to do sentiment analysis, either via communications mining, or previously they have sentiment analysis models in AI Center. So that's how you will be able to assign and prioritize a case, and then eventually investigate and then update Salesforce and notify consumer. So from, let's say, 20% of the whole end-to-end process, you are able to automate by RPA. With specialized AI, you're able to capture around, let's say, 60 or 50 to 60% of the process by just adding more specialized skills to your automations, right? So going back to the topic at hand, how can you leverage AI Center to deploy and host models within UiPath? Um, and that's what this slide is for, topic is for, right? In the AI Center, you have projects, which essentially you can have a project where you have, let's say, for your inventory management use case, right? In that inventory management project, you may have several data sets, right? Data sets are your training, evaluation, or evaluation data to be able to not only train your specialized model to do forecasting, let's say for your inventory, but also be able to evaluate the model that was trained based on that uh, model, right? And then you have the pipeline. You can do training, evaluation, and full, right? So training, just do training based on the data that you've gathered for your inventory management forecasting model. And then you can do evaluation. Once you have trained the model, you can run evaluation using the evaluation set. And full pipeline runs both training and evaluation sequentially. And then you have the ML logs, where you have the package validation data sets, logs for pipeline when you deploy and then when you predict. And then you have ML packages here. And then I'll show you real quick how it looks like here. And just um, some something to highlight here. So even though we're discussing this right now, this topics right now, because for the purpose, of course, of why we're doing this is for the community, for you to prepare you for the specialized AI certification. AI Center, most of the components or models that are in AI Center, especially the open source, they are gradually being deprecated and moved into the generative AI type of approach within UiPath, right? So except for document understanding, which I will show you right now, there are document understanding models that you can still host in a AI center right now, and also out of the box non-document understanding models. So that is still available. And um, so this is more of a foundational learning for everyone, and of course, as part of the test preparation, even though they are gradually doing the deprecation of some of these models that are available here, right? So from here, these are the different projects that you have. So you have, if you go to one of the, let me just create one project. So inventory management. Then you provide a description and then click create. And these are the components that I showed you on the chat, no, in the deck earlier. So you have the dashboard, you have the data set. So data set is where you upload your training or evaluation data. You can upload as a folder or uh, create a data set first, and then you can let's say Excel sheet for historical inventory. So it really depends on what type of specialized AI that you are training. So in this case, we are training a model to do forecasting, let's say, for to manage the inventory levels for, let's say, your store or whichever use case for inventory management that you have, right? So it can be either Excel sheet where you have all the different historical data points, let's say orders or inventory levels that you have, right? Or if it's, let's say, an object detection use case, a completely different use case, a specialized model, then instead of Excel sheet with all the data for your training, you have images, right? Images and annotations. You can use labeling tools, third-party tools to do those annotations. So it will create your training and evaluation data, right? So again, based on the use case, uh, then the data set should correspond to whatever required data for your training or evaluation. That's where data set is. And then data labeling, right? So hold on, this is mainly for either labeling data for document understanding or labeling data for, let's say, a text classification model that you have deployed for training here in AI Center, right? So again, I just want to point out that all of this, whatever you're seeing here, are not LLM based, right? AI Center focus on specialized ML model within UiPath, right? Even before the generative AI capabilities, specialized AI capabilities are here for a while that you can leverage for your use cases. Right? So on ML packages, so these are the available out-of-the-box packages. If I click on the out-of-the-box packages here, so UiPath packages out of the box. As you can see, you have a computer vision. If you want to deploy the computer vision on, let's say, your on-prem on your on-prem AI center, right? So you don't want it to use the computer vision in cloud that UiPath provides, and you can use this out-of-the-box package for your UI automation using CV, right? Document understanding. So these document understanding models are still available within AI Center. So this is what they call, if you hear about the term classic classic document understanding. So this is how you do deployment of classic AI models, right? So let's say in my inventory management model, inventory management project, not only I want to do forecasting of inventory, I also need a model to understand my documents, let's say, or extract from documents. Let's say I have a model for purchase orders right here. In order to deploy it here, I can click submit. And as you can see, I have the tag here, whether it's retrainable or not. Right? If it's retrainable, I can use data labeling to do the labeling of the documents that I will use to train this model, right? Some models, especially the some of the out of the box, are not retrainable. I'll show you that real quick. But deploying specialized model in AI Center is just as easy as clicking submit and then saying PO model and then submit. So now you have the package created for out of the box document understanding model in AI Center, right? So this is classic document understanding deployment, right? So you notice here, so we have deployed the ML packages, right? And then if you want to retrain the model, we can create a data labeling session for that document understanding model. Or if not, you can just go ahead and create an ML skill for that package, right? So you can go ahead and directly go to ML skill, create new, and choose the ML package that you deployed, which is PO model. PO model, say 1 or something, whatever PO model. So from the package that I deployed out of the box, using the out of the box DU specialized model in AI Center, I'm creating a ML skill, right? So ML skill, you have different options here. If you want to enable auto update or make it public, so you can consume it outside of the tenant or org. And then other advanced infra settings if you want to enable GPU, right? So the beauty with this is you don't have to worry about the infrastructure behind your models, which sometimes will require, depending on the model, which will require GPU to be really performant. So let's say if you enable GPU, right? So where this matters most is the training, right? If you don't have GPU on the infrastructure where you deploy your model, training will take, let's say for 500 or let's say 1,000 document, it will take 3 to 5 days or even more, right? But if you are enabling GPU, although it will cost more, right? Regardless if you provide your own infrastructure or you use this UiPath provided one, it will be 10 times faster, the training, right? So let's say from 3 to 5 days, it will just be like a few hours to a day or something like that, right? So for 500 to 1,000 documents for a document understanding model, right? So these are the settings here. So I will just go ahead and create this. If it lets me. So while my, okay, so choose the version, and then choose the minor version right here and click create. You can see here the hourly consumption of unit here as well. So this is also the main difference I want to highlight when using classic um, document understanding via AI Center versus modern DU, which is not part of this session. So classic deployment via AI Center of machine learning models, whether it's DU or not, is it will consume infrastructure on your AI units, infrastructure um, consumption through AI units, right? So that means whether you're training or using it in production, it will um, consume AI units no matter, right? But for modern DU, which we're not covering today, modern DU, um, training, whatever development or building of the document understanding you're doing for your modern DU project, it will not consume AI units, right? So that's one of the main difference. But again, our focus is on specialized AI via AI Center, and in this case, classic DU. And purpose is to make sure you have foundational knowledge of how it all started, as well as prepare you for the examination as this will be part of the specialized AI exam, right? So let me just create this. So I'm able to create an ML skill out of the ML package out of the box that I've created. And you can see the logs here as well regarding the deployment, right? The package I deployed. And if you train the model, you can also see the deployment logs here. So now that's a path of using out of the box model, creating it as a package, and then deploying it immediately so that you can use it in your studio, right? Once your skill is um, deployed, right? So let me just show you just a quick. It may be different right now, like especially for DU, but um, this is how it looks like. Hold on, if it shows. Oh, anyways, let's look at take a look later. So Priya showed right on the if you remember on the previous deck earlier, the previous slide. So once you have so essentially what we did is this we chose a package, we deployed it, the package, and then we have created an ML skill, and then that ML skill, once you have deployed it as an ML skill, if it's already available, um, then you can drag and drop that ML skill into your UiPath Studio workflow, right? So that's the next part of the process when dealing with deployments of models in AI Center. Same with uh, the modern IXP and communications mining as well, right? Um, so now, if you don't want to use the existing, I mean, if you want to use the base model, but you don't want to use whatever it's pre-trained because you want to retrain it with new data that you have, right? Or you want to refine or improve the model, right? Then that's where data labeling comes in. You have your data sets. You need to create your data set first. In this case, for document understanding, you can create a data labeling session. Let's say PO labeling, and then choose the data set. Let's say I need a data set for PO data set. And then I create a data labeling. And then create. Now, once it's available, then you can go to this labeling session. This is where you can label your document understanding related models. So you can upload the documents here. I think based on the documents that you have in your data set should come through here, or you can also import or add. Yeah, this is where you add documents to label, right? See if I have some documents here. Uh, just add one. This. We just add any document here just for the sake of it. Let's say this is batch one. Of course, it's not just so the more data that you have, the better, right? Um, so the rule of thumb is depending on the number of fields that you have, right? Um, multiply it by 50. If your document is very diverse and you don't have a base or pre-trained model or 30 to 50 type of document. So the reason is we're not focusing on when training a machine learning model, right? Especially for DU, we're not focusing on the format of the documents, right? We're focusing on the fields that you want to train, and you want to train it with a diverse set of data so that it could be able to abstract um, new data that it wasn't trained with, right? Because if you train it with literally the same format, let's say you have 500 samples of documents that you uploaded, if you train it with the same format, let's say 60% or 70% of your samples have are in the same format for purchase orders, right? Yes, it will be very performant on that particular format, but if you introduce a new vendor or a new format for um, in your work, I mean, as part of the operation when you deploy the model, right? So it will not be able to abstract it, and it might as well you just have created a template um, form for that particular vendor that takes up the 60% of your data set, right? So what I'm saying is in order to be able to train a proper machine learning model, regardless of the structure or format of the document, which is the purpose of why you're doing it via machine learning, right? So make sure your data is as diverse as possible. High diversity yields more performant model. It can abstract new format outside of what you have trained with, right? So just to highlight on that, because that applies not only for document understanding, machine learning problems, but also other type of machine learning problems, right? So this is how it looks like when you're training, or when you're uploading samples for training for Modern DU project. Right. So this is the document. So it is already digitized right here. So you can see the bounding boxes right there for the different word tokens. And then if you have a base model, then you can, I think you can you can import the schema as well if you're using a PO-based model. So in UiPath, they provide the schema in zip file, and you can upload it here, if I remember correctly. And then the fields will populate here. But if you want to create a field from scratch, let's say I want to extract the PO number, right? That's a string. Um, and then, so this P denotes the shortcut, right? Let's say this, whatever. So this is the PO number. I just click P, and then it's labeled here, right, as the PO number, right? So that's how you retrain a model if you need to, or if not, you just use the base model and deploy it as an ML skill immediately. You can also do generative predict. Let's say add a field here. And I know this is not a PO document, but let me just add a unrelated field here. Okay, so you have a content type as phone as well. And then click save. So I can do so predict versus generative predict. Predict combine both generative with the pre-labeling. Pre-labeling is whatever like base model that you have. Let's say PO you have included here, or invoice or receipt or whatever, or you have a pre-trained version. You can set the pre-labeling model here. So you can look for the pre-trained model for PO, for any type of document that's UiPath provides as pre-trained model, and then you can provide your key here. So that's pre-labeling. So it will use whatever training it has and then predict on this document, right? So generative predict, it will use LLM to do the prediction. It will use LLM alone. But predict is combining both pre-labeling and generative model. So if I click predict here, I don't have pre-labeling endpoint, so it won't use any, but it will just do the generative AI prediction. So as you can see, it removed the PO number because this is not really the PO number, but it it extracted the PO number right here, right? So this is classic uh, DU training, right? So once you have completed the labeling, annotation, and all, you can just export it, and then um, that export you can run pipeline, right? So pipeline is where you create a training pipeline, evaluation pipeline, or full pipeline. So when you create a new one, you can do either full, train, or evaluation, right? Full pipeline runs both train and evaluation. And if you just do a train run, you can this is just train. So if you run a full one, you have to have an evaluation set, right? Because it will run both train and evaluation, right? So if you do a train run, you just need to have a training set, right? You can use the ML package, which is the base package that you created from out-of-the-box models available. You can choose the major version and then minor version that you will train from. Best practice is always choose the base model for when retraining, right? Base minor version. Because when you do the labeling, right, just like I showed you, and you do the export, right, you're exporting the full data set itself. I can't remember if you can do export incremental annotated data, but when you do the export, you will be exporting, let's say, 500 samples that you trained before, and then you have additional 50 samples that you trained. So those 550 will be exported. So that's why you want to train from the base version, because you're training you're training the full data set anyways, right? So that's why you choose the minor, the base zero version of the minor, right? And then this is where you choose the data set. Can select the PO data set. So this is when, if I completed the labeling annotation, let's say 500 or 1,000 samples, and then I export it. So this is where I will see the exported labeled data, right? This goes the same for all other use cases, or all other machine learning models, not just DU, right? Um, so if you use the data labeling for let's say text classification models, or other um, models that are available, then you can see the data set here. But since I did not export, or I did not label anything really, I just showed it. So this is once I export, this is where I will see those data set, labeled data set, right? And then you can create. So the environment variable right here is this is if you want to do a feedback loop, right? Feedback loop from your workflow. Once you deployed your initial LML skill, you have your skill being used in the studio workflow, and then you deploy it in production. And then in that workflow, you also have a human in the loop, right? With human in the loop, via Action Center and Document Understanding, you have a way to push the validated data back into your data set, right? And then someone can go in and validate that like validated data in data labeling, and then schedule an export, right? Schedule an export for that validated data. And then you can also schedule and do an auto retraining of your model. So it will automatically create a pipeline once a new increment of validated data is available. Once a new export is available, it will do an auto retraining. So it's sort of a um, um, active retraining loop, right? Coming from your workflow, then someone validates the extraction, it will push to the data set, and then do an scheduled export, and then a pipeline will run, and then will update the ML skill, right? So that's how this will work. And then, yep, so that's if you have a new version, you can either update this manually, or as mentioned, it can be updated automatically as well once you have a new version from the feedback loop, right? Okay, I think there's lots of things we covered there. Let me take a pause. We do have until what time do we have, Priya? Next 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, we do have 30 more minutes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so let me take a pause and see if you have any questions as of now. If not, I can proceed.
Yeah, we've been
Sure.
answering a lot of questions on the chat. Is there anything, Eric or Priya or Akil, that you think we should ask Russell?
Yeah, so out of I think most of the questions we answered. So any thumb rule to follow how much amount of data to be trained? That is the only one which is pending.
Okay, yeah, again, it really depends on the model, type of model that you're training, whether it's document understanding, which is mainly the ones that we use AI Center for, unless you have other use cases. Let me just show real quick. Other out of the box packages. Yeah, I failed to show those. Let me show you again. So out of the box packages, if you go here, so I mentioned about computer vision, I mentioned about UiPath document understanding. So I also mentioned about the number of samples for specifically for DU is it really depends on the number of fields that you have, right? Um, let's say you want to train a machine learning DU model from scratch, not from any of the pre-trained models available. So not let's say not from let's say what model you want to train is not available here, right? It's completely new model, right? So and for that document type, you want to have you're looking at extracting 10 fields, right? So minimum number of samples that you need to provide is 50 multiplied by 10. So that's 500, right? Um, assuming your document is semi-structured document, right? Because if your document is structured document, then you don't have to use machine learning, right? You can just use other models that are template-based models, um, because your document is structured form. You don't really need a machine learning model for it, right? You just create whether to extract whether to which part of the form you want to extract the field. You use a form-based extractor for that, right? Um, but for so the machine learning model is more for semi-structured or unstructured type of document. And if you look at UiPath, so I'm not just saying any arbitrary numbers here. Uh, let me give you the documentation. In fact, that I'm looking at. Hold on. Not sure if it's still there. So there's training.
Yeah, I think to add to Russell's point, I would say like the more number of documents that you give for each different variation that you have, you're basically training your model to learn that pattern, right? So if you have like different vendors giving you different templates, I think the more number of examples that you give, your model will perform better. But when you go to production, then you have like a new vendor sending in a completely different template, then that's like something that the model is not aware of, right? So which is where like you want to be sure that also you're not overtraining. So don't give the same example again and again to test the same set of data.
Yeah. So you want to be as diverse as possible for your document. Otherwise, if you use the same format over and over again and takes up, let's say, 30 to 50% of your whole training set, then that will cause overfitting or bias, high bias towards that particular format. I think this is a document where the best practice on how you want to train DU models, whether it's in classic or modern, right? It doesn't matter. Yeah, so here. So yeah, again, I'm not just pulling out any numbers out of the air. So this is the rule of thumb, right? It's coming from the documentation where it really depends of the number of fields that you have, right? Not about the format, but the number of fields and making sure that each field has a diverse set of sample. It's okay if you don't include other samples, right? Because that's the purpose of machine learning model, right? You want a machine learning model that can adapt, right? You don't want a machine learning model that's brittle, right? So the purpose is for the machine learning model to learn and be able to abstract new format by itself by giving it high diverse samples, right? So I'll just ping this in the chat.
Thanks, Russell. That's useful.
Yep. So that's document understanding. Um, so as you can see here, the other types of models out of the box are deprecated already. Previously, you have NER here, text classification. So I don't think it makes sense to cover this right now. But yeah, still the same concept, right? Any machine learning model that you want to train, you want to have diversity, whether it's Excel data or images, annotations, and all. So the more data that you have, the better. The more samples that you have, the better. And the better diversity of the samples that you have, that should be the best ideal scenario, right? So just to quickly touch where does this out of the box model now uh goes into, right? Or how, if they have deprecated it from AI Center, where can you use it from now, right? So that's where the generative AI capabilities come in, right? So if you see here, and thanks Priya for sending the link. You can share this in the chat as well, Priya.
Sure.
So this is the deprecation timeline that UiPath has on AI Center out of the box models capability. So if you're looking at open source models for text classification, language detection, you cannot you already cannot use AI Center for this out of the box models. Previously, it's there. In fact, you can even train these models from AI Center. But now only DU is available there, and DU is available to train there. Where these models now are residing are through communications mining. If you're looking at text classification or language detection, there'll be communications mining. If you're searching for named entity recognition, same. It's part of communications mining. Still specialized model. You have also have specialized model before, both out the box and open source for image classification. Instead of this, it's already deprecated in AI Center. You can leverage the Gen AI activities that offer this same capability, but more flexible, and you don't have to train them, right? You can just use them out of the box using these activities available. You also have object detection in Gen AI activities in UiPath. Um, and all of this are already moved into Gen AI activities, right? So combination of Gen AI activities and communications mining. So again, to your question, going back to the question before, specialized AI is not LLM based, right? But they moved some of the specialized AI that were offered previously in AI Center into Gen AI capabilities through Gen AI activities. So Um,
And Russell, I will just add that don't worry that around session 7 we have something around the topic is around communications mining. So
right.
there'll be another session on that.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. So when it comes to deployment um of AI center, or like whether it's AI center or document understanding, right? Um, non-generative AI capabilities, right? So specialized AI, document understanding, and AI center. So of course it's available in cloud. So UiPath is cloud first. They deploy all the latest features and the previously supported features here in Automation Cloud. And then you have the on-prem counterpart comparable to Automation Cloud, but it doesn't have the latest features that are already in Automation Cloud. Let's say in Automation Cloud, you have Studio Web, you have Agent Builder, you have Maestro, and all of this good stuff that are pretty recently announced. So it's only available in Automation Cloud, but not in Automation Suite, right? So Automation Suite is the on-prem counterpart of Automation Cloud, but it doesn't have all the features. So Automation Suite can either be on-premises air gap, meaning it's you cannot access it from a public internet. I mean, even the server itself, where you deploy it, which are Linux or let's say even EKS cluster, AKS or EKS, uh, uh, it doesn't have access to the internet, so that's air gapped. On premises online, um, is yeah, I mean it's much easier way to install it because you can access the installers and the models. You can download it directly from the servers where you'll be deploying the automation suite, right? But the experience of both Automation Suite and Automation Cloud is the same. Um, well, the experience is the same. The features are different, and the deployment, of course, you need to deploy it yourself when you're doing in Automation Suite. Um, and this one is hybrid mode. Yeah, actually, to be honest, I'm not very familiar with this one. But it looks like this is if you already have an orchestrator on premises, it seems that what this alludes to is you can deploy or create an automation cloud org and leverage AI Center from that org and then deploy the skills as public so that you can have an endpoint that you can connect via your robots in your on-prem deployed in Orchestrator or something like that, right? Do you want to add anything else on this, Priya?
I think, yeah, I think you got it, Russell. I think you mentioned it correctly. So, most customers, if they already have their existing orchestrator and don't have any new features on the cloud, I think this is a nice segue to step into, the automation cloud, see the features. And I think that's a nice buy-in to step into the cloud portal. So that way they can get even Maestro and all the new features that keeps coming out.
Yep. Okay, so I think let's go over to some use cases. So use cases, just like what we have showed to previously, like the loan origination and then the credit dispute, although it's a high level workflow or flow chart, right? So what's the similarities of this use case that we that we can leverage and fully leverage the capability of AI is it has to have three things. One is uncertainty, second is high variability, and third is unstructured data. So I mentioned, if you remember, I mentioned before, if you have a document that it's fixed structure or a form-based structure, that already is not a viable uh type of use case for AI AI-based ML-based approach because the the s- the structure is fixed, right? Using a machine learning model would be overkill for that type of document, right? So it doesn't qualify on this unstructured data because where machine learning thrives, where AI thrives is uncertainty, unstructuredness of the data, like articles that are free form, documents, images, videos, emails that are free form as well, right? So that's why you have models for machine learning models for documents, semi-structured to unstructured. You have machine learning models for image analysis or detection. You have machine learning models for videos, and email sentiment analysis or named entity recognition as well, right? So think of invoice extraction, email routing, speech to text. So this is why um, machine learning models are good for this type of use cases. Right? So I keep stressing on high variability, right? So if you cannot afford on, let's say, a use case, if you remember the credit risk dispute use case I had initially, um, although you can do the Salesforce data entry and then consumer notification part, when it comes to the intake, dispute intake, and then the prioritization and then triaging, there are too many scenarios that you need to consider, and you cannot afford to create rules for all those scenarios, right? So there is too much variability for rules based. So that's where machine learning model or AI can come in, right? An AI that can do the sentiment analysis, an AI that can do the triaging, an AI model that can do the document understanding as well, right? So resume matching, purchase decisions, language translation. So this type of use cases has involves too much variability, right? Same with uncertainty, right? So this is where AI or machine learning model approach can be useful as well because you cannot determine an outcome with 100% certainty. Somewhat similar to this one, not too much variability for rule based. You cannot do an if else, right? So there's always this probabilistic, non-deterministic type of uncertainty, right? So just like property valuation, loan defaults, and as I mentioned, inventory forecasting are these types of use cases, right? So since we are on this, let me just show you this. I think this is a resume matching type of use case or job matching. So it comes from an email. Just so the resume comes from an email, and this bot uses a specialized ML skill to read this document and match it on a specific job description. So as you can see, there is this aspect of
I'm not seeing your
unstructured.
screen, Russell.
Sorry?
I'm not seeing a screen. Oh, I'm on the wrong. There you go.
Okay.
Now I
So
can. Yeah.
anyone can see the video playing or
Yes, yes.
okay. Yep. So although this shows quite old version of Studio, so I think you still get the I mean the concept right here, and this is how previously the activity looks like when you're using a non-DU skill deployed in AI Center, right? Because I say non-DU because for DU model deployed, whether it's in AI Center or modern DU, there is a data extraction scope that you can use, or extraction activity. But for non-DU, so this is how it looks like before, when they are being used from AI Center, right? So, it extracts skills and find job match. So you have two models that was deployed here as a skill. One is the extraction of skills from the document, although this could have been just a DU model, right? You can train a DU model, a resume extraction model, but in this case, I think we deployed a different model here. And then after extraction of skills, it has another non-DU model for job matching, also deployed in AI Center. So once the process runs, it goes through each of the resumes, email, download its resume, and then uh, looking for job matches for those resume after reading them, and then sending an email as well. Okay, so it will just go through each of the email, doing the same thing, reading the resume, finding job matches using the ML skills, and then sending an email. So yeah, and this just shows the um, different email that was sent for each of the applicant, based on the resume that they have, right? So pretty simple use case that leverages the power of machine learning models, because you cannot create a rule based for this just by keywords. So there's uncertainty, there's unstructuredness, and there's that other one, high variability, for this resume matching use case. Okay, just a few more slides right here. So when it comes to document understanding, so you have this different pre-trained models out of the box. So UiPath language and image analysis. So these are the ones available before in AI Center, but gradually being deprecated and moved into either communications mining or generative AI activities. Open source models, most of this are already in Gen AI activities, so it's not available in AI Center anymore, right? So the only ones available right now in AI Center are out of the box DU models for uh, um, for uh, for documents, right? So this is just a double click on the DU models, specialized AI for document understanding. You see in the below this orange line, so you have for passports, utility bills, supply chain, bill of lading, packing list, invoices. For finance, you have invoices, purchase order. For banking and lending, you have bank statements, financial statements, vehicle titles. Insurance, you have these different forms. And then you can see here communications mining as well, right? Although this is not part of this session, so how the overall product suite looks like is, so this all of this combined together, specialized and generative AI um, type of capabilities into one suite as called IXP, right? If you hear the term IXP, so IXP is a combination of communications mining for emails, sentiment analysis, and named entity recognition for emails and other type of messages. If it has attachment, documents, or files, then there comes the document understanding model, whether it's for semi-structured or unstructured document. So IXP also includes document understanding, specifically modern DU, right? So, and there's another component which is also part of IXP, which is also for document, which is for generative extraction. We're not covering that today. Our focus on this is specialized models, which includes specialized document understanding model. You can see here that are pre-trained for specialized document types. Okay, and yeah, that ends our session, and these are just some of the existing real-world AI center use cases, although this was a while back for a loan application for the largest mutual bank in Australia. You have IT and services company in healthcare to predict high-risk pregnancies, keyword monitoring for an internet media firm in Japan, invoice processing for a PS company, Asian Bank, customer email classification, uh, 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 FB&A company, for product label anomaly detection. So this is more on like stickers, like image detection, and detecting errors on labels and all. So yep. Yeah, we have 5 minutes. Sorry if I had to speed run that, but just to make sure we answer some remaining questions that we have. And I hope this session is helpful, if otherwise. But yeah, if you have any questions.
Yeah, great session, you guys. Really a lot of energy going on in the chat as well as just great material. I just want to make sure that you guys, when you ask your questions too, and I know there was a lot on this topic, but I want to make sure you guys are okay doing the self-paced training as well. So if you have any questions about that, please let us know too. But you guys can open up your mics and just speak out if you want. And then there's a ton of information in the chat, so I'm just going to give you guys a minute to make sure you copy it. A lot of good resources Priya and Russell put in there. A lot of great information. And if you don't have any additional questions, just remember also the forum thread, which Revathi just put in the chat, that you can always ask questions after this session when you're doing your self-paced learning, or when you're doing your training, just make sure that you capture it there so we can respond to it and multiple people can get the benefit of that. Okay, so with that, I just want to, I don't think there's any more questions. So I just want to thank everybody. Priya, Russell, great job on the presentations. Revathi, Eric, and Akhil, thank you so much for working on the chat with Priya and Russell. And we will see you guys on Wednesday. So please make sure that you sign up and register for that. We're looking forward to continuing this and making sure you get that training credential. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone,
Thank you,
for
everyone.
joining
Thank
us.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.